Now, one basic principle that I want to teach you, everyone here, that you see, if and this principle is a very very peculiar principle. When I say peculiar, it means that I'm not talking about you should buy a home or not. I'm not talking about you should buy a commercial shop or not. I'm only talking about investments. Like people have habit of investing. People have habit of investing with friends, with partners, with business partners, and they sell and purchase things. For an example, they invested, 50 lakh rupees in a flat, and it is yet to be delivered. It will take 3 years, and within 2 years, they are getting profit of 25 lakh rupees. They'll sell it off. Then again, they'll put 25 lakh rupees somewhere and then sell it off. That circle, which is known as where people are investing in property, in real estate, is the right word. So if your ninth lord of D1 is not well placed, you will have a hard time in investing and getting results from real estate. So the first condition, be it any lagna, the ninth house lord, if it is in Dushtanas, 6, 8, or 12, or if it is conjunct malefics, or if it is with Rahu Ketu, or it is debilitated under those circumstances. I mean, this is not the rule, but one of the very important rules. You will be also understanding many other rules as well, right? Lot of other rules will come in your coming classes, but this is one of the rules, one of the rules. And where you have to be very very conscious, very very conscious, that if my ninth lord is not well placed, then you need to be very very careful. Okay, very very careful. So ladies and gentlemen, this is something that you need to be very very careful of, that the ninth lord is something which is very very important. I mean, anyone, if you've invested and you've struggled, I mean, you can type where your ninth lord was not well placed. You tried to invest in real estate, you tried that business, but you've got a lot of struggles. Lot of struggles. This is one of the rules, not the rule, by the way. The second thing is, something that people have that misconception that, you know, the Mars is the Karaka for real estate, Mangala. Well, the answer is yes and no both. If you talk about agriculture land, if you talk about plots, if you talk about any property without construction, now you can star this thing. If you talk about any property without construction, right, then it is Mars, it is Mangala, because it is Bhumi and Mangal is Bhumi Putra. But when you talk about constructed property, when you talk about an office, building, villa, flat, which is constructed on the Bhumi, the Karaka, the significator is not Mars, it is Ketu. Always remember this. So construction, is Ketu. Okay. The technology that we use in construction is Rahu. Okay. All the technical things, right, is Rahu. The luxury in the construction comes from Venus. Okay. Shukra will tell you the luxury of the construction. The Karaka of agriculture is Jupiter. Anything, fruits, grains, any agriculture land is Mangal with Jupiter. Okay, right? And when you talk about, you know, the green areas, will you get properties around parks and, a good area? It is again Mercury and Venus. Would you get water resource near your property? Is about Moon. So we have a lot of planets. They play their own role, but two major planets, Mars and Ketu, right? Ketu for the constructed property and Mars for the Bhumi. Okay. Now, suppose the second rule, if the Mars in your horoscope is in the fourth house or in the eighth house or in the 12th house of the D1 chart, you see this statement is very, very important, that Mars in the Moksha Trikona, Mars in the Moksha Trikona does not do well. Okay? Mars in Moksha Trikona is not good for 8 and 12. So, very basic principle in the D1, okay, and this principle does not apply in D4. Okay, D4 we have very different principles. But in your D1 chart, if Mars is in 4, 8, and 12, you should not buy land under your name, right? It will come in some dispute, or it is not going to give you great results. Or if you have a debilitated Mangal, then also you should think twice. On the same time, if you have Ketu in the second or in the third house of your D1 chart, think about, buying a constructed property. It can go in disputes or it may not give you great results, right? But what are we talking? We are talking about the D4 chart. Now, these are very basic principles that we have learned, but to rule out whether you should buy a property or not, or it should be a constructed property or a land, or what dasha, what antradasha, partnership, alone, with wife, with son, with brother, all these things are to be deeply analyzed from the Chaturthamsha. Okay. Also, we take some inputs from D60 and D9, where weak Mars in D60 or D9, or Mars in 4, 8, 12 in D60 and D9 tells us that you do not have support from your prarabdha. आपके प्रारब्ध की support नहीं है आपके पास. Right? If you have Mars in the Moksha Trikona in the D60 and D9. Now, I'm going to teach you two, three very important basic terms, terminology, which you have to keep it in mind. Let me share my whiteboard with you, and I'm going to write few of these terms so that these terms can remain with you for the long, long time. First terminology that I would want to write here is that the fourth house, the fourth house of D1 and D4 chart, Chaturthamsha chart, is known as Karya Bhava. Karya Bhava. This is a terminology that we'll be using. And you put two stars here, star, star. The fourth lord of D1 means the lord of the fourth house of D1. I can also write lord of fourth house of D1 only. You use this word only. D1 लग्न कुंडली का चौथे भाव का स्वामी, the lord of the fourth house of the D1 only is known as Karesha. Okay. Now there is a two different statement. कार्य भाव दोनों चार्ट्स के हैं. कार्य भाव मतलब काम करने वाले भाव, आपके भाग्य के लिए, प्रॉपर्टी के लिए काम करने वाले भाव वो दोनों हैं, D1 एंड D4 के. बट द मेजर प्लैनेट नोन एज कारेश, जो वो काम करेगा, हेल्प करेगा, द इंपॉर्टेंट प्लैनेट जो हमें D4 के अंदर देखना है, we'll have to take this input of D1 into D4. So the planet which is Karesha is from the D1. The fourth house lord of D1 is known as Karesha. Am I clear? Hope there is no, conflict. Please do not take the lord of the fourth house of the D4. We'll have to take the lord of the D1 and check its position in the D4. I'll tell you the principles. Now, the dispositor, okay, the dispositor of Karesha, okay, the dispositor of Karesha means, अब ऐसा तो नहीं होगा ना that the fourth house has the lordship of, like Aries Lagna. For an example, in Aries Lagna, the fourth house lord is Moon. It is not necessarily that Moon is present in the fourth house. That Karesha can be in the eighth house. Okay? And in the eighth house, who is the lord? So the eighth house lord will become dispositor of the Karesha. Right? It is not necessarily that the fourth house lord is sitting in the fourth house in your D1. Suppose, you are a Gemini Lagna, and in the Gemini Lagna, right, who is your fourth lord? It is Mercury, right? And Mercury may not be sitting in the fourth house. Mercury may be sitting in the 12th house. So the dispositor of Karesha is Venus. Okay, we always take the primary lord. We'll not take the secondary lord here. Like, आप Taurus को बोलो moon भी lord है. No, take only Venus. Okay, so the dispositor of Karesha is known as Anitya Karaka. Anitya Karaka. आप याद रखना, ये टर्म्स हम बहुत ज्यादा यूज करेंगे. ओके. Fourth house of D1 and D4 Karya Bhavas. Fourth lord of D1 is known as Karesha. Dispositor of Karesha is known as Anitya Karaka. Anitya Karaka or Karesha, they can also be same if the fourth lord is in the fourth house. Any confusions? Are you all clear? Okay. And you know what? Anitya Karaka is a planet that tells you about quantum of property. किस लेवल पे आपका रियल एस्टेट फैल सकता है. यू विल हैव वन हाउस और टू हाउस, और you will have multiple houses, right? And how much will you have it? Right? Will you have tons and tons of properties? We'll check all these things. We have so many lectures to, Guruji, please tell the last line you said now. Sampada, what I'm trying to tell you is that the Karesha, the Anitya, Karaka tells you about the quantum of your property. Quantum मतलब कितनी प्रॉपर्टीज होंगी, एक दो तीन चार पांच, ज्यादा होंगी कम होंगी. यू विल हैव दैट 1500 square feet of a flat in your life, or you have 20 flats and you will have rented income. So it is very important that the Anitya Karka is well placed in D4. Okay. Mars is a Moksha Trikona in D9, and D16 signifies what? It signifies that, Mars is not happy. Having so much of properties and investing in real estate is not good. But before you ask all these questions, I would humbly request you to first, understand 3-4 lectures. Okay, so that you can find answers of these questions by yourself. Because there are many, many factors that are going to play a major role, in understanding the property yoga. So it is too early for you to ask all these questions at the moment, right? I want you to first, digest what I'm saying, analyze, and slowly. It's not just one lecture of D4. Just like D60 and D9, we're going to have many lectures where you're going to understand so many other things. Okay. So, you know, just hold on there because I've just started to create the base, right? So it is no way that you can ask all these questions at the moment, right? So you need to wait. Now, so number one, always look at the position of this Karesha. Now, Anitya Karka is not the main planet. The main planet is Karesha. The Anitya Karka is the secondary main planet. I'm going to rub the screen. Now, rule number one. I might teach you only rules today. So, rule number one. Should I buy property under my name? Now, this question is very different from should I invest in real estate? Okay. Investing in real estate doesn't mean that the property is in your name. Yes or no? How many of you agree to this thing? Investing in real estate does not mean that the property is in your name. Suppose if I invest in a property, you can be part of my kitty, and we are, you know, uh, you're buying it together. ओके, हम मिल के ले रहे हैं प्रॉपर्टी। मैं उस चीज की बात कर रहा हूं नहीं। आई एम टॉकिंग, आपने घर बनाना है, आपने प्लॉट लेना, यू नीड टू बाय होम, यू नीड टू मेक योर होम। शुड दैट होम शुड बी अंडर योर नेम और नॉट? At times, what happens is, we take this property under our name, but then there are a lot of problems that come after buying that property. क्या प्रॉब्लम आती है? The first problem that comes is suddenly that prosperity goes away within the family. Business goes down, losses, unwanted troubles. Investors will start teasing you. Your employees will start teasing you, torturing you. So then you need to check all these combinations. So I have, you'll be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, have more than 35 concepts that I want to teach you. In all these combinations, blah, 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 blah. But I will teach only two, three, four, because they are going to be little heavy for you to digest at this point of time. Lot of combinations will come in your way. Should I buy property under my name? First thing, look at the situation of Karesha. Okay, Karesha is the fourth lord of your D1. The fourth lord of D1 is Karesha. Okay. Now, where to look at, Karesha? The first thing is check this Karesha in D4. Your Karesha in D4, Karesha का इनपुट कहां से आया? D1 से. Okay, it's the fourth lord of D1. It should not be in 6, 8, 12, or in the third house. Okay, it should not be in 3, 6, 8, or in the 12th house in the D4 chart. चतुर्थ आंशा में fourth lord of D1 should not be in the third house, 6th house, 8th house, and 12th house. नहीं होना चाहिए. It should not be. Third house is less severe. थर्ड हाउस में है तो उस महादशा अंतरदशा में प्रॉपर्टी नहीं लेते. विल टॉक अबाउट दैट कि कौन सी दशाओं में प्रॉपर्टी लेनी चाहिए, कौन सी दशाओं में प्रॉपर्टी नहीं लेनी चाहिए. विल टॉक अबाउट दैट. वी हैव दैट क्लास, अ फुल फ्लेज क्लास, नॉट एट द मोमेंट. So if your Karesha, but there is a star to it, there's a condition to it. Karesha should not be debilitated in D1. जो कारेशा है, it should not be debilitated in D1. Only then you check this karesha in D4. If your karesha is debilitated in the D1, in the Lagna Kundli, then the primary planet, the main planet, becomes Anitya Karaka. The main planet will become Anitya Karaka, the dispositor of Karesha in the D1. So आपको क्या चेक करना है? You first will have to check the Karesha. Karesha should not be debilitated in the D1. If it is not, afflicted हो, राहु के साथ हो, केतु के साथ हो, वक्री हो, no problem. It should not be debilitated, because when it is debilitated, it is not blessing of Vishnu. It is a नीच भंगा, fine. You can still consider it. गुरुजी परिवर्तन हो गया, consider it. लेकिन अगर कारेशा प्योरली डिब्लिएटेटेड है, then you immediately jump to अनित्य कारका and you give importance to Anitya Karka just like Karesha. And then you check the same condition for your Anitya Karka. Now the final controller becomes Anitya Karka.